Hello everyone, my name is Rahul, and in this lecture I will be discussing balance of payment, international trade and currency exchange. Taking with the balance of payment. What is BOP? It is also called BOP for short, balance of payment. You might have heard about BOP crisis in a country from the newspaper if you are aware of that. So balance of trade is basically a transaction taking place from one country to other countries. Like suppose India, what happens in India cases, we have to import some items. What are the major items we import? Oil is there, software is there, computers, mobile phones. We used to import that in a big amount, and we also are an exporter. What are the items that we export? One of the major item is services. Others are agriculture goods. So all the transactions that are taking place, that is whatever we are importing and whatever we are exporting. Suppose we import $100 billion and we export an amount of $70 billion, right? So these records have to be maintained by the RBI. All the central banks around the world maintain these records as per the IMF guidelines, a format decided by the IMF. So first of all, why we need a balance of payment? Because as a country, we need to know what amount of dollars we have in our balance, foreign exchange, what amount we have as a foreign exchange with us. What happened with the other countries? See, last month you would have seen the Sri Lankan crisis. They do not have dollar in their account, and similarly things happening with the Pakistan. So they have to import items like they need grains. Okay, so we have to import something and we have to export something. So net balance of transaction has to be maintained as a record, so that we could know what amount we have for paying these things. If we import $100 billion and we are exporting $70 billion, so we need $30 billion. Where that dollar will come from? So we have to maintain this record in order to know that these $30 billion have to be maintained. Okay, so these are the things with the balance of payment. Now moving on. So balance of payment is under IMF format. We used to keep the balance of payment. And since any country's debit outgoing money is credit for another country, suppose see, if India is importing $2 billion oil from the market, like it is outgoing money for us, like minus $2 billion for us. And for Saudi Arabia, if we import from oil from Saudi Arabia, it will be 2 billion plus for them. So the net balance of payment is zero for the entire world. Someone will be importing, someone will be exporting. So the net balance of payment will be zero there in that case. Okay, in every case, I mean, if we see the transaction all around the world, it is zero. Now, balance of payment are further subclassified into two parts, that is current account and the capital account. So current account and capital account. What is the basic difference between current account and capital account is? See, current account is basically for the business. I mean, the transaction of goods and services. Nothing apart from that. And capital account is when you create a new asset, new type of structure, economical structure in the market. For that transaction taking place, that is counted as a capital account. And current account is simply basically a transaction for goods and services, wages, interest and dividends are there. So current account is all the goods and services transaction taking place. We have to import oil, all the goods and services. India is a very good, very has a, I mean, high potential for the export of services. Our BPO sector is very famous around the world, and our software developers are having a good potential. So India is a very good exporter of services also. Primary income are wages, like wages, the software services, they get dividends and interest of the loans we have taken, like and remittances. One of the major factor India is doing good in the terms of balance of payment is remittances we get from the uh, our NRIs working in different part of the world. So they work there in Saudi Arabia, Australia, they work in America, and they give their parents money back. Whatever they earn, suppose they earn $100, they give back their parents $50. So we are having an edge over there in terms of remittances, if we compare with the other countries around the world. Gift and donations are being given to the NGOs and other things. So these all transactions are counted in the current account, right? And capital account is there. Capital account is FDI, like foreign companies bring FDI to India. They invest in whatever the venture they see that has a potential, whatever company has a potential. So foreign companies invest in our companies also. So FDI is coming, that is making a asset, not for the business transaction. They invest something so that a asset could be built up. So that is a capital transaction, foreign portfolio investment. This will be discussed later in a greater detail. So loans are there, external commercial borrowing, ECBs are there, pension schemes, RBI foreign exchange reserve is also a part of capital. You have to remember this. So these are the current, and this is the current has two parts, visible and invisible. Visible are those items that we could see that we are importing or exporting, like oil is there, goods are there. Invisible are services. We do not see them, visualize them. Just visualize them that there is a export of service, export of import of services. So these are invisible items. Profits are there, interest. We do not know how much profit is being earned, how much profit is being transferred. Suppose a company invested in India, FDI came, and Indian company makes some profit. So the dividend will be transferred to that company that invested in India from outside India. Okay, so these are the part of current transactions. And capital account. In the capital account, investment like FDI and FPI, Morgan Stanley is there. So they bring Walmart bring in good FDI amount in India also in previous years. So loan we get. Why do we need a loan? For making an asset, for setting up a business. That is why it is being considered in the capital account. So ECB's sovereign fundings, the government of India also brings in, also take loans and also gives loans. So these are the part of capital account. So balance of payment. Now see, these are taken from the economic survey. So what is the balance of payment? There is a record of balance of payment. Trade in goods. 33 billion worth goods were exported. In 2018-19, we export 330 billion of goods. What was the amount we imported? $510 billion of goods were imported. So what is the net? Net is minus 180. We have to arrange $180 billion. So that is why we have to keep the records. Where will we get these dollars? So our government, RBI have to manage this. So for that, we keep foreign exchange with us, near about $600 billion foreign exchange. So in COVID, it was minus 25. What that means is we just have to arrange $25 billion. Okay, so because the business activity was almost negligible in COVID. So that is why it is very less. Trade in services. Here we have surplus. So we have $82 billion coming in from the service sector. Foreign company sitting in America, they just outsource their business to Indian companies like software service, BPO sector is there. So we employees sitting in India getting the salary from American companies. So we have a surplus there. Highest export, software service. What are the highest export from India? Software service, business service, travel, those travelers coming to India, and transport. So $208 billion export and minus 126 uh, is import. So net is 82 billion surplus. So in COVID, it was 42. It's just a comparison. You do not have to remember all this data. It's just a comparison to get you to the clear picture what is happening in the background. Okay. So sometimes you have to remember just the previous year data and that is enough. So income, profit, interest, and dividend. We have to foreign company MNCs working in India. They make a huge profit and take it out of India and go away with their country. So we have a negative amount there. That is, they are taking our money back to their countries. In COVID, it was 70. Transfer and remittances. Here we have a surplus. See where we are having surpluses, services sector is there and remittances. NRI is working in foreign countries. They send their parents money back to their home. One of the biggest reason why the Kerala is being having a good economical setup is they get huge remittances from the employees working in Dubai, Saudis. They just transfer the amount from whatever they earn. So what was the net current account balance? See, in the 2018, we were having a $57 billion deficit. Government have to arrange $57 billion. But in COVID, we are having a surplus. It's the first time. Okay, you have to remember in the this you do not have to remember the figure. Just remember the fact that we are having a surplus during the COVID year. Okay, that is enough. That is more than enough. So moving on. Current account deficit as a part of GDP. We are having a 3 trillion economy. So if we compare 3 trillion with, just a second, compare 3 trillion amount that our economy is with $57 billion. So what is the percentage of $57 billion out of the $3 trillion economy? So that comes out to be that is being shown here, nothing more than that. So in 2011 we have minus 4.3 CAD, that is government have to arrange 4.3 percentage of $3 trillion. So the data that I have shown is $57 billion is of 2018-19. So that was comes out to be minus 2.1% of GDP the government has to arrange. So this data is for to get the entire picture whether we are having a constant current account deficit or we are having a fluctuation in the current account deficit. You just have to see the flow of this, nothing more than that. You do not have to remember all of the year current CAD data. And if we move on, these are the things that I have already told you, that we are having a current account surplus in COVID year, and before the subprime crisis of USA, we are having a surplus. After that, we are having a surplus during the COVID time only. So these are the things you have to remember. Balance of trade. So I have discussed it when India have to import more, we are having a trade deficit. In terms of India, we are having a trade deficit. Usually, just it happens in the COVID year that we are having a trade surplus. Moving on, net terms of trade. Net terms of trade, it is always less than 100 for India. Why it is? See, what is the definition of net terms of trade? What is the net amount of trade that has happened? Value of import and value of export. What I told you is we are importing more, so and exporting less. Suppose we import 100 billion dollar and we export 50 billion dollar. So whatever the denominator, if denominator is greater than numerator, so the value naturally comes out to be less than, in terms of percentage, less than 100. If it is going to be say 150, so if 150 would be there, so it will be greater than 100. But what I told you is value of import in case of India is more. So that anyway will lead to having a entity net terms of trade is less than 100. So you do not have to remember net terms of trade. Sometimes it occurs in various aspects. It could be asked in an interview or somewhere that. So for that, it's just a term. You don't have to bother about it that much. So similarly, this is a gross terms of trade. That is volume of amount happening, volume of trade happening. If I see volume of trade happening or quantity, kg or liters. In case of India, it is less than 100. Why? Because whatever the item we are what item we are exporting is agriculture goods. If we export, and what items we are importing is say a software product, a mobile phone. A mobile phone, suppose rupees $1,000, having a weight of hardly having a weight of say 200 gram, 500 gram. Okay. And if we export rice of $1,000, it will be having a weight of suppose say 1000 kg. So in terms of volume, we are exporting more, and in terms of import, we are importing less, right? So that is why if denominator is greater than numerator, so the value comes out to be less than 100. So I guess that will be clear to you. And if we move on, similar thing with the income terms of trade. Don't bother about it. Okay. And next topic is very important. It's been asked naturally in the paper. You have to remember this thing. What are the top import and export items before COVID? Because why I have written here before COVID is because COVID was an unnatural year. So these things have to be taken into account because business activities were collapsed. So top import items are petroleum. We do not have oil reserve in India. 80%, 80 to 85% of oil is being imported. From where? You have to look at it. From Saudi, from UAE, from Iran having a sanctions. So we import less from them. We import from Russia. During the Ukrainian war, they give us a huge discount. We import from also from USA, since they discovered the shale gas. So they are having a huge potential after that. So we import from USA also. So petroleum, crude oil, and gold import is there. We consume a lot of gold, like in Diwali, Akshaya Tritiya. These are the festivals we have. So India is very gold loving people. So they, I mean, ornaments, dowry. So these things for these things we import gold. So, I mean, for government, it is a, I mean, huge burden. So we will discuss later what are the factors that the government brings in so that gold import is less. See, government has to manage that imports are less and less wherever it could be possible. So gold is an item which is of no use. So if I wear a gold chain, I mean it is not adding something to the economy. So it's just a for show of purpose. So government wants to curb the gold consumption. So pearl and precious and semi stones are there. We have import it at a third, and petroleum products are there. This is a crude oil and this is a petroleum product. Crude oil is different from petroleum, refined oil, refined products, coal, coke, and briquette. See, we, India, have a huge potential in the coal. We have a huge, large number of mines in Orissa, Chhattisgarh, but the coal we have is of less value. I mean, the amount of energy it releases is less than the bituminous coal of Australia. So anthracite, bituminous, these are the type of coal that you will learn in your science and tech lecture. So the energy, 1 kg coal of hour, suppose say it is having an energy of 10 kilo past something, right? So, but if we see 1 kg of coal of bituminous coal of Australia, that will release a 200 unit of energy. So that is why we have to import coal, and overall it impacts environment. So these are the things that you have to see. Other notable item that we import: telecom instrument, electronic component, organic chemical, iron and steel. China is a huge dumper of steel, uh, industrial machinery. These are the items but the top five you have to remember. Top five you have to remember. And what are the top export items? What are the items we export? Petroleum product. Now the question arises is, you will ask, we import crude oil at a first place, and we also export petroleum product at the first place. Why? Because India has a potential, India has a huge potential. Indian Oil, IOC, Indian Oil Corporation has a huge potential of refining the crude oil. We refine the crude oil. See, Iran has a very large reserve of crude oil, but they do not have the technology to refine the oil. So what happened is, Indian oil companies, they refine the oil and send it back to these countries, also to Gulf countries. We purchase crude oil from them and send back the refined petroleum products to them, Iran and these countries. And see, these are the pearls and precious stones. We import more and we also export more. We refine the stones, precious metal, precious stones. So Gujarat in Surat having a huge industry, and drugs formulation, pharmaceutical products, we export, we are having a huge potential. In times of COVID, we have seen India exported, India give as a help to many poor countries, their pharmaceutical products. Paracetamol medicine came into highlight at that time. Uh, okay, so Dolo medicine came into highlight at that time. So we have a huge potential, no doubt about that. But if we have a huge pharma sector, that have an economical benefit, no doubt about that. But these have a environment impact also that you have to remember, because the amount of chemical it releases, heavy metals, heavy chemicals, it just releases into the rivers, so that have a huge impact on our environment. Gold and precious jewelries. See, we are a exporter also, top exporter. Item, where does the gold is being used? Gold is being used in making diodes, transistors. Many companies use, if you open your laptop or your mobile phone, There you will find the diodes. The golds are being used, iron and steel. Other notable items, that is chemicals, cotton. For a cotton question is being asked already. Motor vehicles, electrical machinery, right? Now the item that I have listed is goods. In terms of goods, we are saying what are the top imports and top export items. Now we will see what are the in terms of services. In terms of services, what are the top items we have imported, and what in terms of services, what are the top items we have exported? Business services. We like the software. If you have to buy a software, so you have to get it from the foreign market, and also many business transactions are taking place. So these are the at a top level. Travel is at a second position. Indians going on a foreign trip. There are large number of people who go to foreign destination just for having a stay over there, picnic over there. They enjoy their time, and that is kind of a import for us, because whatever the money is being taken away by, suppose I'm a Indian person. If I go to Australia having a $10,000 with me, I will be sucking away the $10,000 from the Indian market and export it to the Australian market. If I go to Australia, I will buy things. For that, I will be spending dollars. For for India, it is a kind of burden. That is why it is being taken as an import, not in the export item. See, you have to see the just a clear bit, a bit difference is there. Okay, don't be confused in that. I'm a person, I'm in located in India. If I take away the money from the Indian government or RBI, $10,000, so it will be amount to a import. What happen in import is, if we import a mobile phone, government gives $10,000. Okay, from RBI we give the rupee and get the dollar, and dollar is being transmitted to the foreign company. Similar things are happening there. Okay, transport of goods and cargo, transport as a service. Okay, like aeroplane, shipping is there. So we are a net importer, because the major shipping sector has been developed by the transport sector is developed by the foreign companies of China. USA have a huge potential. China has a huge potential. So nowadays we are seeing Adani Groups is making a huge comeback in the transport as a shipping sector. So major ports in India are being owned by the Adani Group. Software as a service. These are the top items we import. What are the items we export? Software as a service, we also import and we also export at a first position. Software as a service, BOP sector is there, business sector is there. Also travel is at a third position. You have to just rephrase it. Just remember it, travel, transport at a fourth position. And what are the top import sources we have? Which are the countries from where we are importing more and more things? Just a second. Yeah. So are the top sources from where we are importing? China is at the top place. That is a big, big, big trouble for India. Why? Because we have a geopolitical issues with them. Many issues are there. You have seen the Galwan Valley clash over in the 2020. So we have many issues with that is a different issue. But the top sources from where we are importing is China. Second is USA. China, basically mobile phones are there, softwares are there, technological products are there. From USA, we have a oil trade, These are the things from UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq. We have a oil issue. So basically, if oil is the major reason that we government of India has to spend that much amount of money for importing oil. So other notable are Switzerland, Hong Kong, South Korea, Singapore, and Indonesia. What are the top export destination of India? It is USA, software. Many companies many Indian employees are working for the USA. So it is a kind of export to us. If an employee sitting in India working for an American company and he's getting a salary from there, so that is a export for us. Whatever the amount getting into the economy of India is a export. Whatever the amount taken away from the economy of India, from the market of India, is amount to be a export. You have to remember this. UAE is the refined product and other items we used to export them, and also UAE we have a very good deal with them, business deal with them. Also, software sector of UAE is being helped by the Indian employees. China is there. We export to China basically the agriculture goods China require. So these are the items we export. Rice, they have a issue. China has a huge population. They need agriculture goods. Hong Kong, Singapore. There we have a service export, Hong Kong and Singapore. Other notables are UK, Bangladesh and Germany, Netherlands, Nepal. These are the countries we have to export. Now, trade deficit. We have a large trade deficit with China. Our largest trade deficit is with China. Cheap electronic item, toys are there. Right? If you go to the Diwali market, you will find floodings of Chinese item in the market, like toys, electronic items. So these are the items we import from China. So we have a huge trade deficit with them. Switzerland, uh, gold and luxurious item. Middle Eastern nations like Saudi Arabia, UAE, we have an oil issue with them. Okay. Trade surplus is with, we have a trade surplus with USA. Textile sector is there, chemicals are there, pharmaceutical, I told you, services are there. So textile, from where we are getting a competition with the textile is Bangladesh. So they are having an edge over there because Bangladesh is being counted as a poor country, and we are counted as a developing country. Sorry. So USA has a certain norms for poor country and a developing country. So they give them tax benefits to the Bangladesh. That is why they are, I mean, they are leading in the textile sector. That is good thing. If our neighbor is good, so we will be doing good. See, if Pakistan and Sri Lanka are at crisis, repercussions will be on India. So a good neighbor is a good thing for India. The UAE, tea, spices, and textile, we have a trade surplus over there. Major items we export. India's top 5 trading partners are, see, what I discussed earlier on is the top importer and top exporter. Trading partner is different thing. Trading partner includes import and export both. We discussed import and export, right? But trading partners, that does not mean we are importing or exporting them. The amount of exchange taking place between one country and another is larger. Exchange could be import or export. USA is there, China is there, UAE is there, Saudi Arabia and Hong Kong. It could have been because the data is being slightly in a 2020, so it could be change with time and with the circumstances. So we will be updating it with accordingly in the coming lectures. So larger importer and exporter in the world. In the world, goods, if we see the goods, USA is at the first place, largest importer. Yeah, USA is as the first place in importer. China is a exporter, largest exporter. And in largest exporter, India is at 19th place. In terms of service, USA is at the first place and India is at a 10th place in terms of importing item. USA import more because USA has set up its economic like this, that where the dollar flows, they get a cut. Okay, the amount of transaction taking place anywhere in the world, they get a cut. So they do not develop with time. They outsource the companies to foreign markets. So that is why they are a largest importer. The Donald Trump campaign was based on this idea that we are becoming a largest importer. What is happening to the US economy? So and largest exporter in services also you have a USA is there and eighth place is India. So